I mean, the boldness of Trudeau and appointing somebody who's clearly personally compromised as Johnson to the position, he caught even the most cynical of people off guard. It wasn't surprising, I guess, that Trudeau would appoint a close friend to the position, but still, it was unexpected to see a statesman as experienced as Johnston jumping into such a clear conflict of interest. I mean, Johnston's been more of an uncle-type figure for Trudeau than a political colleague, and he's indicated as much in multiple interviews where he waxes on about his fond family ski trips with their Trudeau family and other gatherings. And of course, most damning of all, Johnston was a board member with the Trudeau Foundation, which has been embroiled in this whole mess, it seems, every time something comes up with the CCP interference. Look at this, like former Trudeau Foundation head Maurice Rosenberg. He was tasked with checking for election interference in the 2019 and 2021 elections. And unsurprisingly, Rosenberg found no issues. Though we know CSIS had been raising flags about Chinese Communist Party interference in those elections, somehow Rosenberg didn't see it. Of course, Rosenberg was also the head of the Trudeau Foundation when it was happily receiving donations from Beijing. I guess perhaps signing checks can cause selective hearing or seeing. Still, one would have hoped that Johnston could retain a sense of principle. Perhaps he'd keep his name in the clear and call for an independent public inquiry into the CCP election interference scandals. Maybe he would have said, well, that's just my job, whether I'm a tight buddy with the Trudeau family or not. I mean, come on. We've seen sitting MPs with their family in Hong Kong being threatened by the CCP. We have Chinese police stations set up in Canada. You know, Communist Party police stations intimidating Canadian citizens over here. Who could possibly look at all that evidence and say we don't need an inquiry? Well, David Johnston is who, actually. So after decades of building a respectable reputation in public service, Johnston has thrown it all away with this absurd report on the interference scandal. I mean, an inquiry is going to happen on this eventually, one way or another. And Johnston now is going to be remembered and disgraced as a man who tried to whitewash on behalf of Justin Trudeau, rather than, honored for his years of prior service as Governor General, among other roles. Johnston is rightly under fire for his terrible report, and he's trying to shoot the messenger, with CSIS and undercutting Canada's security agency as he's trying to provide government for the cover for the Trudeau government. Now, it appears Johnston wanted to ensure Canadians knew just how tone deaf he was when he doubled down and used former Supreme Court Justice Frank Iacobucci. I'm terrible with Italian names, but he used Frank as a character reference. The problem is, Frank Iacobucci is on the board of the bloody Trudeau Foundation. All roads keep leading back to that foundation. Well, the foundation is supposed to be separate from Trudeau himself. The list of members is packed with his closest friends, including his brother and his half-sister. Alexander Trudeau, Justin's little brother, was involved in garnering the scandalous $140,000 donation to the foundation from Beijing. This is a pretty short arm if we're going to say it's an arm's length foundation. The Trudeau Foundation doesn't actually appear to do a lot of charitable work, but it sure keeps a lot of liberal friends gainfully employed while taking in money from the Chinese Communist Party. So why is the CCP so obsessed with funding the Trudeau Foundation, if not to curry favor with the Prime Minister? I mean, rest assured, Beijing doesn't pour money into other Canadian charities. I haven't heard of the Chinese Communist Party's sponsorship of the Canadian Special Olympics or, putting any money into any cancer funds. No, they just put money into the Trudeau Foundation for some reason. Interesting philanthropists. Johnston's report isn't worth the paper it's written on. Now the burden of responsibility lands on the shoulders of NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. I mean, Singh's been talking tough for months on the interference scandal, but he won't threaten his cozy agreement with Trudeau by doing anything about it. It's time for Singh to act. How much longer can he keep propping up this corrupted mess? Does he really think Trudeau would go to the polls rather than face an independent inquiry on the issue? I mean, if Singh pushed it, and Trudeau made it a confidence vote, I just doubt it. I mean, if Trudeau went to the polls on that, it would be political suicide. I can't think of a worse political campaign platform than, I feel so strongly that the interference should not be investigated that I've decided to call an early election. That would be the end of Trudeau, finally. Singh's NDP base, they must be tired of his constant capitulation to Trudeau. I mean, cooperative agreements are one thing, but propping up a government with strong whiffs of corruption emanating from it is another. This sort of cover-up is an issue so serious it never should have happened with a majority government. Never mind a minority one. If Singh doesn't step up to do his job and force an independent inquiry, his character is clearly as corrupted as Trudeau's is. Enough is enough, Jagmeet. Get off your butt, quit being the yappy, toothless chihuahua, and actually do your job. Well, that's what's got me going on that today, guys. Yeah, who knows? Singh is talking, this is bad. We need an inquiry. Well, guess what? You're standing there. You've got your hand on the handle to force an inquiry, Jagmeet. You're the only one who can do it. So enough talk. Either call it or just admit that you're just Trudeau's little boy.